Welcome back. It is I, your gaming host, Amanda McKnight. I hope you're ready because Resident Evil 3, the remake, has just come out, and it is promising to scare your socks off. But does it deliver? Today we'll take a closer look as we count down the top 10 scariest moments in Resident Evil 3. And if you've already played through the game, let me know if you agree with our choices in the comments below. Or if there was something you found even more terrifying. And be sure to stick around till the end of this list where I'll have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10, dodging zombies. A lot of the gameplay takes place around infected zombies who appear at every turn. While they aren't super threatening to you as you play through and mostly keep to themselves, just the low growl that follows you as you move throughout the world and the anxiety that they bring makes for a pretty terrifying experience. Their presence reminds you that staying anywhere too long is dangerous and that their sheer numbers could end up being a huge problem for you, especially as you have limited ammo, and it appears to take 3 headshots just to take 1 zombie out. Number 9, falling off the roof. Sometimes in order to get away from your enemies, you have to do something dire. In this case, that something is jumping off a roof. If you have a fear of heights, you probably won't like this moment very much. The only thing that makes it a little less scary is that it's more of a slide and then you fall into a cart, but of course that breaks and then you do take a tumble and you almost get smooshed by the cart sort of falling after you. So overall, a moment where you're like, will I die? Please no. But of course, you're Jill Valentine. You're not gonna die, hopefully, if you play your cards right. Number 8, mutant super zombies. The main antagonist, Nemesis, appears to be able to transform regular zombies in the game into super zombies. The tentacles that come out of him appear to infect the zombies even further and give them bulbous heads with tentacles coming off them of their own. This appears to make them much more durable, by the way, when you're going up against them, which is both frightening and frustrating, as the standard zombies are already hard enough to fight. Number 7, pop goes the stomach. When you find the case that contains the lockpick tools that you need to move forward in the game, it comes with a little surprise. The man you take it from appears to have possibly met an end you'll face later, although hopefully it won't end you. When you take the case from his corpse, his bulging stomach explodes. If you hate bugs, then this part will probably creep you out somewhat. After you successfully acquire the lockpick from the case and use it, a giant bug will attack you and attempt to infest you with its offspring, opening up your mouth and then depositing them inside via your throat. Fortunately, you manage to vomit them up, but the whole thing is pretty grotesque and disturbing to think on. Did I mention that later you'll be forced to encounter a whole army of these giant insects? Yeah. Number 6, Fakeouts. The number of times in the Resident Evil 3 remake that you think you're about to get away from whatever is chasing you only to be pulled back into a fight is astounding. Fakeouts always get me in a game, especially when you truly believe you are about to actually make it out of something, when they make them feel sincere and then just pull away that moment from you. Show you a goal that you've almost reached, and this game has a lot of moments that do that well. One of my favorites is the moment on the rooftop with the helicopter near the beginning of the game. Sure, I didn't actually anticipate that I'd make it onto that helicopter, but I definitely did not anticipate it to go sideways that fast. All of the Nemesis encounters give us a lot of great fake out moments as well. Number 5, Brad Vickers. Poor Brad, he can't catch a break. When fans saw the Easter egg involving Brad in Resident Evil 2, they were excited. Despite having a small role originally in the games, Brad became somewhat of a fan favorite. He also became part of a huge conversation around a plot hole as well involving him, as we see in his timeline, because his head gets completely busted open, but then later in his own Resident Evil timeline, he goes on to become a zombie, which is like, if you have no head, how can you become a zombie? He dies gruesomely in the original Resident Evil 3, but then appears as a zombie in the original Resident Evil 2, whose story actually takes place after the events of RE3. In the beginning of the game, Brad almost instantly becomes zombified, but then later we see him again, and the person he's attacking he manages to spook by echoing their sorry. In other words, by speaking, which, zombies don't normally do. But don't worry, you later will get to play as the character who takes him on in this game and be the person to, blow his head off, basically. But don't worry, the gruesome death that he suffered in the original game still makes an appearance later on in the police station. Although it's not his death, but we still get to see that if you're a fan of it. Number 4, Jill is infected. Right off the bat, the game starts off frightening. You wake up in your apartment as Jill Valentine, the main character of Resident Evil 3. Not only is your apartment inherently spooky with all the shadows and being shrouded in a gray darkness, but there seems to be a theme of running water that for some reason really spooked me. Running water gets to me in games. I don't know what that is. Something about waking up to a tap running or a storm or like a pot boiling always gets me in horror games. In this game, there's a storm going on outside and your window is open. When you go to the bathroom, you find you've left the sink running, and then as you go to turn the tap off and look down, you'll notice blood drip down into the water. When you look up into the mirror, your nose is bleeding, and then you begin to transform into an infected version of yourself. Basically, you're becoming a zombie. You fall down, your vision blurs, but when you get back up and approach the mirror, the infection only appears to be moving more quickly, getting worse. In the end, you lift a gun to your head and you take your own life, only to wake up in the next scene, remarking that your nightmares are definitely getting worse. It was all a dream, thank goodness. More Fakeouts, obviously. Number 3, Gravedigger. When you get into the sewers in the game, you will be forced to face the Gravedigger creature. Now, if you're a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise, you may recognize this creature and be happy to see its terrifying face get its own redo and reappearance in these remakes. If this is the first Resident Evil game that you've played, though, then I'm certain this thing grossly caught you off guard. With its frightening double mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth, you'll have to work hard to avoid getting eaten by it, as it feels like it's waiting around every twist and turn during your encounter in the sewer. And it's a very twisty sewer, so it's literally every turn you're like, ugh. Number 2, Nemesis. As with the original Nemesis, the main antagonist of the original Resident Evil 3 game, you will find he keeps popping up throughout this remake. Nemesis is pretty frightening, but mostly because he feels unstoppable. There is a Mr. X or Terminator vibe to him almost, and he'll always keep appearing with you having to incapacitate him long enough for you to get away. Because he's so inevitable, it makes his presence feel super menacing, like you could die at any second. And that is what makes any time he appears so frightening. He's also got this slow, powerful kind of Michael Myers walk going on for most of the game that I'm personally all about in terms of how scary it is. It's like there's nothing you can do. He's slowly gonna come, he's gonna get you. Number 1, he can use weapons? What's more frightening than the unstoppable Nemesis? A Nemesis with a flamethrower? Partway through the game, Nemesis gets a level up when Jill finds that he is actually capable of arming himself with and using weapons, like a flamethrower. So now, not only do you have to deal with when he gets to you, but he can also now target you at range as well. So it isn't just like he has to get there to hurt you. And he is even more frustrating to fight and scary when armed, especially when he gets his hands on a rocket launcher, because yeah, that also happens. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this list and that you have had fun playing through the remake of Resident Evil 3, or if you haven't played it yet, that you are looking forward to playing through it. And I try to avoid any major spoilers for those who haven't played it through yet. So hopefully this didn't spoil it for you if you haven't played it yet. What do you think some of the scariest moments of the game were? What did you think of the Resident Evil 3 remake if you've played it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Scary FNAF Animatronics Part 3. KiwiNator Snivy comments, what if Scott made a quarantine FNAF? Oh wait, that's special delivery. I mean, I think all of them actually have kind of a stay-at-home vibe personally, and in all of them, you're kind of stuck inside usually, but Special Delivery is definitely a good little AR game to while away the hours and keep yourself entertained. Well, you know, maybe you gotta stay inside for a bit. Dabu says, the Freddies aren't molded to Nightmare Freddy, they come off before he attacks. They're just inside his holes in his body. Ugh. That's even worse. Either way, they are a part of him and they are frightening. Definitely not an animatronic that I'd want to run into in the games. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and your feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Gaming and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!